for tuning in to the Medevac Podcast, powered by the Robert Irvine Foundation, whose mission is to support and strengthen the physical and mental well-being of our nation's heroes and their families. I'm one of your hosts, David Reid.
And I'm your other host, Christian Meyers. Thank you very much for joining us today on the Medevac Podcast. If you're new here, prize for the show, you have to share it with a friend or family member if you get something out of today's episode. And we've got a pretty cool guest today.
And we're also at Adaptive Training Foundation, recording some awesome guests here in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, ATF has been nice enough to lend us their facility for the day. If you notice, we got some cool CrossFit equipment in the background. They do some really cool stuff. Derrick, our guest today, we'll intro him here in a second. He's one of the trainers here, so we're going to talk about what ATF does as well. So Derrick Ross, former Army engineer from, you said 2006 to 14?
I served from 2006 to 2014.
Okay, gotcha.
Injured in 2011. Mm-hmm. But continued to serve till 2014. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
That's an honor. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Good to finally meet you in person, too. I know we've been talking for a while. So.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to catch
Finally
up.
lined up.
Yeah, right? Well, welcome.
To link up. That's awesome, man. Well, let's kind of rewind a little bit into kind of the early days of why you decided to join the military. What inspired you?
Oh, man. I want to say funny things like G.I. Joe back in the day, those action figures and those cartoons, like Transformers, like fighting against evil. That was always like attractive to me. I was always into those cartoons. But also watching a lot of documentaries from like World War II and Vietnam vets.
Okay.
That I was like, man, those guys did an awesome job. I had no idea what it really was because I was a kid, you know, but now that I'm older and I look back, I'm like, yeah, those dudes are hardcore.
Yeah, they are.
Kind of like glorify that too, right? I mean, you even mentioned yesterday we had a couple of guests on that were Vietnam veterans.
Sog McVie.
McVie Sog, guys who really literally paved the way for a majority of the Special Forces pipeline, Special Operations pipeline at that. Yeah, which is incredible. Man. So good stories on that one. I played G.I. Joe when I was a kid too. I think that's why I joined.
Yeah. Cops and Robbers. Yeah.
Cops and Robbers.
Same thing. Yeah.
So how did you pick what you wanted to do?
Okay, so what really solidified me wanting to join besides that was 9/11. I was in sixth grade.
Of course.
And then from there, I was like, if this war is still going on when I'm old enough, I'm going. And then from that point on, I started doing like all the sports and then workouts at home to prepare myself for it. I mean, I was following like the Army Times online, looking at their weekly I forget like how often they uploaded photos from the front, but I'd follow that. Okay. And man, I was just like dead set on becoming a soldier, you know. And then I finally joined in between junior year and senior year of high school. Did the split ops, and then got to my unit. I was the only guy there because my unit like just stood up, and it was pretty cool. Being like all the positions of power as anyone. It was just me, myself, and I, you know. So
you are the unit.
Yeah.
That's right. One man army. Yeah, I think it was the slogan was Army of One back then too.
It was.
Fitting.
That was hilarious when they rebranded that. I forget who specifically came up with it, but they were like, "It's not an Army of One. It's a multifaceted, operation." And it's like, okay, guys, like calm down. It's a marketing slogan.
You're missing the marketing here.
Army of One. I think it just meant holistically, right?
Well, they're trying to make individuals feel more like empowered individually instead of like be a part of a team. It's be all that you can be, right?
I suppose. Like weird marketing gimmicks here. But so you walk into the recruiter's office and you're like, engineers for me, or what did you want to do first?
So I basically, if I could do it all over again, I would have waited a year and just gone straight combat arms right away.
Yeah.
Because what ended up happening is I did my first MOS was 89 Bravo Ammo Specialist. So I get to my unit, there's like nobody there, and then a few soldiers show up over some time, and then I was like, this is not the military experience. I'm out of here. I'm on active duty. And then within a year of that time frame, I got deployed to Iraq in 2008. I think it was like late 2008. Yeah. And then
that's interesting. Whereabouts in Iraq? Because you went off to basic training when?
2006, June 6th, 2006.
2006.
Flew to basic training.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
I remember that because it was like the sixes, you know? I was like,
666.
That's an omen. That's a sign.
Man.
I shouldn't do this. Like,
it's funny. It's funny how we kind of find the omens in hindsight, right?
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of major blessings have come from my time in service. So
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a good outlook for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of combat arms, you went engineer. And what did that look like for you?
So engineer is combat arms.
Well,
So I loved being on mission, and at that time, the Army decided to use civilians to do our job.
Okay.
For the ammo specialist, and so right after my deployment, our MOS was overpowered. So I had too many. I was an E4 at the time. It had too many specialists in my job, and like the promotion points were maxed out. And they were like, "Hey, look, you can reclass for 4. You can reclass, but you have to re-enlist for 4 years." I was like, "Done. Like, this is my life. Like, I want to be here. I've been waiting like years in my life to get here. I'm finally here." So I reclassed right away, and then got sent up to Fort Wainwright, Alaska, in late 2009. Yeah, I got there as they were just coming home from Iraq.
Okay.
Yeah.
That give you a pretty good feeling of what they had just gone through?
Yeah. Those guys were, pretty wild coming back. I guess we all are,
Yeah. So what did that first initial deployment to Iraq look like for you? I always love asking the question because it's so impactful, is getting off the bird for the first time and you get that just waft of that dusty air, air flight line, and you're just like, the carbon is in the air and the dust, and you're like, where the hell am I? Did you feel that?
Yeah. So I was expecting like running off the plane, guns blazing.
Yeah.
Like, you have no fucking clue like what's going to happen anymore, right? You don't know. And then you get there and it's like, oh, it's actually pretty chilly.
Grab your bags. Come on, walk over here.
So that deployment was pretty easy, just like long hours of work, because essentially since we weren't running the ASP, we were doing gun truck convoys. So it was like 6 or 7 of us and like 40 to 50 KBR semi trucks.
Okay.
And so we would do missions like late afternoon into the early morning and like avoid all the bullshit during the day. And so I was stationed out of Cobb Adder, which was right next to the House of Abraham and the Ziggurat of Ur. Like it was right there. It's like right outside our back gate, or one of the gates. And I think Nasiriyah was nearby. And so we would do missions, up to Camp Liberty, Taji, Balad, Scania. Like we would run those semis there and then pick up a new group of semis.
And what was your mission profile? Like, what was your day-to-day kind of your...
That was it. Like we would take care of the vehicles, make sure everything was taken care of during the day. All the guns ready. Basically everything we needed, we took care of that, and then we were just kind of like wait around, and then we would do the mission. Man, we'd get to other bases sometimes, like 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I mean, sometimes middle of the next day, just because you never know. Like somebody might be sitting on an IED, and then you're held up to, and the traffic just starts building, or some shit breaks down.
That too.
Hit. Thankfully, we didn't get hit. I think we had 2 pop shots. I had 2 pop shots at me. But like I would stand in the turret instead of sit down. And
you're a big dude.
Yeah, I'm 6'1". Like,
little target.
Yeah, I was like 220 at the time.
Oh shit.
Yeah, 6'1", 220.
Like a Jack Diesel 220, or
not like super Jack. I had a little survival weight on me, but that's what I'll call
ready
it.
for SEER school.
Yeah. No, I mean that was like I was in like I would say I was probably in the best shape of my life at that point. That in Afghanistan, like those time frames, because. Yeah, I was working out a lot. I mean, I would do missions, and I was on so much supplements. Like, I'm surprised that I didn't have a heart attack.
Liver failure.
Yeah.
Do you remember when
Pink, bright green?
I think during that time ish, like the SARMs were coming
Oh
out.
yeah. Everyone was on them.
It's just like these fake steroids that you take, and like liver failure was sure to ensue.
That was when it was like NO Explode and Hydroxycut were like the old formulas, and
and then like people were popping hot for C4, and just what a time to be alive, unregulated.
Putting C4 in your rippets and mixing it up.
God,
It's like time to work out.
Rivets, man. those things. I see the Rip It sometimes in gas stations, and I'm like,
shudder a little bit.
just for old time's sake.
Yeah, I went to the commissary at Randolph and I saw Rip It, 37 cents for a tall boy. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it.
Rip It.
And I did. I tried it and I was like, oh no, what have we done?
Pure sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar, caffeine.
We had we had a private that filled his Camelback up on mission with ribbons.
No way.
And he went tits up. He just did not make it.
Wow.
I'm hydrating.
I can see like 1 or 2 energy drinks pre-mission. But like, no way.
I would get.
You're
in my
6 of them in your back.
in my room, I would have a whole pallet of them, the little mini cans, and then the Pop-Tarts. The strawberry Pop-Tarts. I'll never eat those again.
Oh yeah, it's cheap gains.
Cheap gains.
I loved the blueberry muffins and the chocolate muffins.
Oh yeah.
The blueberry muffins were always wet too.
Yeah.
Did you notice
It's
that?
always a little bit damp.
They're just damp. It doesn't even constitute as moist.
It's all the Crisco in it. Yeah. Anyways,
all right.
So
Talking about the blueberry muffins.
Yeah. So this was you're talking about your first deployment as ammo specialist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you came back from that relatively easy and transitioned to combat engineer.
I mean, like, we saw like a few things. We saw, I remember seeing like wires coming out of this camel's ass. Like it was like booby trapped, and it was in the middle of the highway where the grass was.
a dead camel or alive?
Yeah, no, it was dead.
I was like,
It was dead.
shit.
That is a tough camp. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Wandering
And
around.
I do remember like
Just kamikaze
driving.
camel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like driving at night and like seeing this big figure, and then it was a camel. And then like as I was in the turret in the Humvee, it was like we drove like real close to it, and I like leaned in. I was like, oh my god,
No.
this thing's fucking big, man.
Yeah,
Like,
they are.
They're way bigger than you
Yeah.
think, too.
Yeah.
Just huge creatures.
That was a cool experience. Yeah.
But not a cool experience seeing an IED
no.
be used out of a dead camel. That's pretty wild.
no,
And
gross.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand is, like, I don't think I could drive by a pile of trash without just having flashbacks.
Oh man,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, man, there was like a period of time where I didn't drive for so long. Like I had found out my license was expired, so I was like, all right, I'll do the right thing and I won't drive. And I asked my ex at the time, like, hey, can you just like take me places? And like one day she was like, dude, when the fuck are you getting your license? And I was like, what do you mean? It's like been like a month. She's like, no, it's been a long ass time, dude. And you're like trapped in your head. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, that really opened my eyes.
Kind of a good statement. I mean, it was probably hard to hear, but
Yeah,
at the same time, it's a reality check.
Dude, it was. I didn't realize like when you're stuck in your head for so long, so all this time passes and you're the only thing you're focused on is like dealing with your shit.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, like half a year passes and you're like, where the hell did time go?
Yeah, you're standing still while time moves past you. Yeah.
Just trying to get through one problem or like a few, and it's really hard. And I don't think like people really understand how long it takes to really work through problems and figure out which tool actually works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
tough.
timing is a big thing for
Absolutely.
Yeah.
like for people to understand is that things don't happen overnight. They don't maybe necessarily happen next week or next month. Sometimes they take years. I think that's a lesson that we've been learning kind of on the leadership business side of things is I mean, it takes 18 months to get anything moving. And we're so used to having all of this access and all of this instant gratification. It does take work and it takes time to peel back those layers and identify. Like sometimes you can't even identify things until you're in the right set and setting.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That's scary too. Sometimes it's scary to start working on those problems because then you're like, oh, now I got to put the effort in. Sometimes you feel trapped and just unable
And it's going to
to
get darker.
Yeah.
It's going to get darker before
it gets better.
it gets better.
And that understanding makes people apprehensive a lot of times too to pursuing the assistance that they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
we've all been there. But.
let's pause on that recovery part because I know you have a story that leads to this like ultimate kind of self-reflection and self-improvement that we all face after transitioning out of the military.
Yeah.
So first deployment, Iraq, pretty standard, couple pop shots.
Yeah, it was
getting your feet wet.
It was easy compared to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was 2008,
Uh-huh.
and then you came back. Did, I'm sure, a rotation, train up rotation.
Yeah. So when I got to my unit, I think I did 3 winters in Alaska. Sorry, I was calling it Afghanistan.
3 cold winters.
So you went from Iraq to Alaska.
Yes, I went from Iraq.
Yeah, Fort Wayne.
And then I forgot to mention that I was stationed at Fort Benning.
Fort Benning.
For my first deployment, and that's where I deployed out of. And then, so I finished that deployment, come home, reclass at Fort Leonard Wood, and then get stationed at Fort Wainwright. And then
Beautiful up there.
It really is, man.
I love
I was a
Alaska.
city slicker at that time, wasted all my outdoor time.
Did you?
The Chena River was like right behind my barracks too. It was like,
you didn't
It was like a
really go
painting,
out
dude.
much?
No, I would go out to the Chena River because it was like a couple hundred meters behind the barracks, and
Yeah.
it was like a painting, dude. It's like a movie scene. Like,
Anywhere you go in Alaska is painting. Yeah.
yeah, it's so
gorgeous.
beautiful out there. And once you leave town, like you're out there, like way out there. And yeah, I wasted so much time because now I want to go back and about to hit up my boys that still live there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, let's go hunting. Let's go do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think the I just have to ask, the wasted time aspect came from?
Growing up in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, like anything outdoors or hunting, like it was like strange for those people, and they're so conditioned. Like things are right here, like we get it right now. You have to think like us, and if you don't, like you're wrong. And so like I was like out of there, man. I was out of there before fucking high school even ended. And stay, lay down. And so. Man, yeah, I was also just turning 21. I turned 21 when I reclassed, like in the middle of that training.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I showed up like ready to party as hard as I could.
Oh, I'm sure,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, looking back now, I really wish I didn't. I wish I treated my time in service like a professional athlete would treat like playing every year. Because I don't know, like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like at 30 years old, I finally, like, life finally clicked. And I finally, like, okay, these are all the important things.
Yeah.
These are the things I need to do to keep me healthy. And back then, it was just like party, work, women, and party, work, women, party, like just over alcohol, you know. And,
I think that's what the 20s are for, man. We talk about this all the time. Is these 20s are really for exploring and
yeah,
experiencing life.
Getting that out of your system, too.
30s is time for reflection.
yeah,
Right,
that's
and-
definitely what happened to me.
And I think we talk about this too. Is it's almost it's great, but it's not at the same time, because I think you're digging through the closet a little bit and trying to figure out who you are and what's going on.
Here he comes.
So
That's Jerry.
yeah.
He's awesome.
So we got ourselves a visitor right here.
All the dogs are welcome.
All the dogs. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the 30s is definitely a time for self-reflection and kind of that discovery and growth, and then realizing you're not the only person on this planet.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do they call that, main character syndrome or something? Something like that.
Yeah. Which is, you know, a whole nother topic too. As we were talking about this last night, is kind of, I think in the military you really cultivate this egotistical mindset of just like, I'm the top of the world, you know, I'm the shit, I'm bulletproof, you know, I'll take on the world. And then you get to a point where you're like, no, it's about the team around me and all that stuff. And I think that kind of really comes out of the 30s a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, like, for me, the team mindset was, I've always had that. Like, I've been an athlete since like 3 years old. Like, all these different sports I've played. I started like ice hockey at 3 and started playing all these different sports. I even played softball in the Army. It was like, you know, like local teams or like the units on base. They have their own softball league, but I mean, nothing like high level, but that mindset, the team mindset is so important.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to win. Okay. We're here to fucking win. All right. We're not here to win hearts and minds. We're here to fucking win the war.
That's an interesting one too.
I love
I feel like over the last few years, that aspect of the military, it's odd, right? It's an odd dynamic. When you went to basic training, it was like kill, 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 right?
Oh, yeah.
And now it's like, you know, Maybe not use that word. It's so aggressive, and you're like, dude, you're infantry. What are we talking
fucking
about?
aggressive.
Yeah. Well, they're doing desensitization in basic training in the Army now.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
Are you
they have to show them videos of like what Iraq was like. And they're like, if you don't want to be here,
that makes sense.
Yeah, they're like,
that makes sense.
they have to actually show them stuff now.
No, I mean, like, so
my first time was my first time.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some shit in basic training, but that was like, I lucked out. Like, I was on fire guard duty at night. Everyone's asleep, and then I went into the main area where the drill sergeant was.
Yeah.
And he was watching, like, you know,
combat porn.
Yeah, he was watching combat videos. Yeah. And I was like, holy fuck. He's like, yeah, man, I was there. And I'm like,
I was there in the shit. Oh, God. Are we getting to that? Are we getting to that age now, man?
Yeah.
Like,
we're there. We are the old timers now.
Are we the old timers now? I swear to I tell Christian
old
all the
guys.
time, I swear to God, if I ever wear an OEF hat, like, that's the time.
Kill me now.
Kill me now. I'm sorry to anyone who has the hat on right now. But
So, but before I knew our generation was like, that's lame, I bought one of those hats. I have it at home. And I was like, man, the greatest dudes in the history wear these types of hats. Like, yeah, now it's our turn, okay? Like, I figured that was like the normal.
Yeah.
And then my boy gave me shit, and he's like, dude, you're so fucking lame, man. Like, put that shit away. Get that shit out of here. I was like,
leave it in your office, man. Leave it in your office.
what are you talking
about? You know, I get a World War II. I actually saw a hat that said Cold War veteran on it.
oh, wow, I've never seen one of those. Yeah.
And I was like, where did you deploy? And he's like, oh, we didn't deploy. Regardless.
All right.
Moving on.
Cold War veteran. Anyways, back to your time in Alaska. So
Yeah.
you're now a combat engineer. So you spent you said a couple of winters
Yeah.
up in Alaska. So were you your unit wasn't deploying at the time, or?
Well, I think at that time, they had like the same amount of dwell time
Oh, okay.
as the deployment time.
Sure.
And I think they did a 15-month. I can't really remember. So they had a bunch of time, like downtime
That
after
makes
that.
sense.
And then we finally got orders, and then we had a pretty good amount of time to train up. It wasn't like, all right, you're going next week, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was like months out. So we had like a very ample amount of time. It was fun, man. I love that job.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could do it again, like if I could do it again, I would do it.
Same thing.
That or like, I would go even further. Because I did want to do, I did want to do like more intense, like combat arms jobs, like possibly go like special operations. Because I felt like we were kind of like held back.
Yeah.
I had this really intense vibe where I was like, okay, we're these like vicious dogs, like ready to eat these people's faces off, and you're holding us back. Like you're like purposely fucking this over when we could just like steamroll these people. It'll be like a tough battle, right? But we're gonna fucking win. So
Yeah.
like we could do this, and we're just like walking around, like fucking off. Like what the hell are we doing?
So
Yeah.
did you kind of feel like you had a sense of not doing enough? Or did you know that you were doing enough?
I feel like that, but that's only because like becoming a warrior is like everything I ever wanted, and then it got like ripped out from me.
Oh, yeah.
And then
makes
I was
sense.
like
Got
at home.
detuned. Yeah.
So I'm like in the battlefield in fucking Taliban's birthplace, Panjwai, and then boom, I'm like
That's where I was
at
hit too.
home.
Panjwai,
Oh, really?
Panjwai province,
Really? What year?
2010.
Oh, I followed you guys. I was with 25th ID.
Yeah.
You were with 10th Mountain or?
2nd Ranger Battalion.
Oh shit. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we,
Yeah, the
but
place
Panjwai
was-
province was a hairy area.
Yeah.
I mean, we were getting banged up every night.
Oh yeah.
Out there.
Yeah. I mean, when we came there was like this lull because we were the only like MRAPs, and they were like, "Who the fuck are these guys?" So
Yeah.
you know, scope us out, and then I was the first guy to get hit, and then after that, it like kicked off. But the infantry was getting fucked up all the time. Yeah.
So let's peel that back.
Yeah.
Afghanistan, you get cut orders to go back to Afghanistan.
Yep.
What was your biggest difference in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Oh man, okay, it was like a nightmare wake up call. So we get in the country.
What year is this? Sorry.
2011.
2011,
Yeah, we got
okay.
there May 2011 when we left. Yeah, and then our first mission was May 16th. Yeah, 16th May. And that was like a nightmare, dude. Excuse me. We did our mission. We went out. route clearance patrol. I think it was Highway 1. And at that time, we were out of Fob Logman. And then, so we go out, everything is clear. And on our way back, we hit this culvert that we checked before, cleared it. But then they checked it again. Everything looked perfect. But what had happened is they dug a tunnel from the it's like farmland. I don't know what you call that. Not a pasture. Was it like the field? Right?
Okay,
grape fields?
Yeah. It was like
Grape
they were
fields.
growing something, and they dug a tunnel from there and deep buried a massive. Hey, dude, calm down. They deep buried like a massive ID. I want to say it was like 1,000 pounds plus, because it basically, like, if this was the whole highway, it literally like.
Oh,
It was a massive fucking crater. It was like the
took out the hole.
biggest explosion I've seen. And it launched the MRAP. It made it flip. I mean, it threw it about 100 feet forward.
Oh.
Like, it blew everything off. Like,
Damn.
everything flew in the fields everywhere.
Did it flip?
Yeah. So
Those things.
we lost 4 dudes that day. And one of them was from, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, 2 SCR. They were out of Germany. I think I'm saying that. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But he was, I don't even think he was supposed to be on that mission. Somebody else was, but I think he was the most experienced soldier. And so he was like, hey, I got this, man. And they were going home the next day. Like,
oh shit. Yeah.
that bothers me. And so he gets killed. 3 of my buddies that get killed. And those 3 guys, of the 3, one of them was the first guy that kind of like took me under his wing, became my friend, took me out. We would go drink and we'd hang out. Another one had just come to our platoon, but he was a part of our group of guys that would go out and like have a good time. And then another one was like a brand new private, just had a kid, just got into the Army like months prior. And like first mission, he gets killed. 2 other guys get sent home for injuries. And then like that was like a major wake up call. Because up until that point, I'd never seen that. And I'd never felt like I want to kill someone. But when I saw that, like I saw my friend, he didn't die right away. It took him a while. And what really bothers me is I wanted to be in that vehicle because I always want to fucking be up front. Like that's where I didn't like come here to fucking hide in the back, right? Like I'm here to do this shit. And they were like, no, we're going to put somebody else. And thank you for doing that because, that could have been me, So that shit bothered me. And then, watching your friend, like, die for, like, a while is really fucking hard. And as the medevac driver, like, you have to have discipline in order for shit to go successful. And so you can't fucking get emotional. You can't fuck things up for more people, and you can't make things worse. You got to do your job. And like sitting there watching that was so fucking brutal, man. And it was just like, the switch was like turning. And I was like, I can't wait to get out of this vehicle and like go right over there and kill all these fucking people because fuck them. They saw it. They know exactly what's going on. And they didn't, right? Like, but at the time, a little 22-year-old kid, just pure fucking rage. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'm like, I need to calm down right now, dude. I'm like shaking right now.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
it's tough. It is. It's a tough situation, and two, it feels like a cheap way to get at us. To the IEDs,
Yes.
the roadside IEDs. You're
Yeah.
trained, to be forward facing and take the enemy head on, and sometimes it feels like you're just getting gypped. At that.
Yeah, it's such a bitch way. I mean, super effective. It's such a little bitch way, man.
It is.
Like, come fight us, dude. Come fight us. Come
Well,
fucking
and
get some.
that's the thing is they won't because they would get their ass kicked.
Yeah. I mean, dude, all that shit's terrifying, but hey, we're there.
Yeah. So that first mission really sets the scene for you, huh?
Yeah.
Sets the tone.
So after that, my platoon didn't have enough dudes to do missions. And so they shut us down. And what they were doing at that time is we were a sapper company.
Yeah.
So all the platoons were sapper platoons. Well, 3 of the 4 were sapper platoons, and then the 4th one I think was like a construction. I think that's what they were.
Can you explain what a sapper is? Just
So a sapper's a combat engineer,
Yeah.
right? And so we blow shit up, like a lot of it. And so we can build or destroy bridges, destroy houses.
You go to sapper school?
No, so that's like sapper leadership course. So
Okay.
like anyone can go there and get that. And it's like
So you would have
learn-
if you didn't obviously get injured.
Yeah, I mean, like I wanted to do all the whole military experience. Like I wanted all of it, and I got some of it. So
you got the parts you didn't want.
Yes, yes, precisely.
I feel you on that. I do.
Yeah. So in that unit, sometimes you're typically like set up with an engineer battalion, but in my brigade, we were the only engineer company in the whole brigade. So it was just us. And so to essentially support our brigade, we scrapped the 4th platoon of construction engineers. I'm sorry, I got acid reflux. We scrapped that platoon. We divvied them up into each platoon and made 4 sapper platoons. And so we had more capability in all platoons and more, and basically like, it'd be like one squad supporting a whole battalion of infantry and then another squad supporting other people over there. And they just like made us split up, right? And so we'd stick together. But like the missions that I were a part of, we did like one clearing operation where it was like a shit ton of Afghan army, police. It was my platoon of engineers, and then it was our infantry. And I think it was like different companies of infantry like pushed through the city at the same time. And that was cool. That was interesting. I got I'll never forget this. Like I got baseballs, like this NCO. We took fire, and this NCO, like I jumped in this ditch, and I look up, and this NCO is like baseball sliding me straight into my nuts, man. And, like fucking ripped my pants. And I had to walk the rest of that mission, like fucking wing hanging out, like boxers. But it was like all there. Yeah.
That's I think that's common. It's just blowing out the crotch.
Yeah. Somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Combat jump.
Sneeze.
Yeah.
Blown out.
Blown out crotch. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the fire resistant ones.
Yeah, this is so weak.
Just rip like crazy. So Afghanistan's real to you at this point.
Oh yeah.
Reality check, second deployment in. How's the rest of the rotation go for you? Was that the rotation you get hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once that goes down, we get shut down as a platoon, and then we start doing cross training with the construction guys. They start teaching us how to use like all the heavy equipment, all the big like scrapers and bulldozers and all that. And then they move us up to Masam Gar. Back in the day, there was like a big battle there with the Canadians. They also had a big battle in Banjway. And so we were, I think that was like right at the time the Canadians were like pulling out. And so we go to Masam Gar, and the first morning it was awesome, man. It was so cool. I'm like coming out of my sleep, and there's just all this fucking gunfire going on. Like whatever the fuck's happening outside, like these people are getting after it. Hearing rockets, like the I'm hearing the A-10s. I think there was like an A-10 and an Apache, like just decimating this compound. And if you've ever been to Masam Gar and you're at the top of the Engineer Hill and you're looking out, there's like a compound. There's I think Fob Wilson's over here, and then there's like a river, and there's like a compound right there. It was that compound. And I remember like coming out like ready to fight. And I just see all these Canadian dudes on top of the Strikers. There was their engineers, and they're like, fuck yeah. Like they're just in shorts, no shirt, nothing. Like flip-flops and shorts, and they're like screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And all of a sudden like this A-10, you know, like, and I look, and like everyone on the base is looking out, and like they're like, go. It's one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen in life. Yeah. It was super cool.
Better than a football game.
Oh yeah. It was fucking awesome.
Waking up to that's pretty good. Yeah.
It was
Best alarm clock ever.
A-10.
I thought it was on, dude, but after that, it took like maybe 5 minutes. They kept hitting it, and then they were out.
Those A-10s are terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could not imagine being on the other side of that thing.
I'm glad they're
Terrifying.
Thanks for being our buddies, guys.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah.
So that happens, and then they started switching. Then they started like switching up the platoons again, kind of get the combat engineers back into like mission ready platoons, and so I got switched from 1st platoon to 4th platoon. And I forget the fob that it was called, but it was like if you left the gate where all the incinerators were in Kandahar airfield, you like drove through this like market, and then there was another fob like right next to it. And like it was us and some field artillery guys from our brigade. And so we would do route clearance patrols from there into Panjwai. And so it would take us forever to get there. We'd get there. And then the infantry would be like, yeah, guys, let's go. Let's go do some missions. And we're like, all right, okay. So we would roll with them. And, man, just the craziest thing I remember about Panjwai is all of the drugs everywhere. Just hanging off fucking people's houses, poppies, weed plants. Like,
the weed.
Dude, I'm talking I'm 6'1". I'm kind of tall. Not really, but like the weed plants were fucking massive.
Yeah, weed trees.
Yeah.
They were trees.
Right?
They were trees.
Yeah, they were huge, man. And we would stop, we'd stop in the middle of the foot patrols, and then
it smelled so good, though.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! It smelled amazing. I wish I had more freedoms like I do now back then. But
stuffing your pockets full of leaves to make some tea.
Hey man, shit, that'd be nice. I mean, that'd be a great way to wind down off mission. Shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was funny because we would
peace and love, man. That's all I can think of. It's like the enemy's there, like peace and love, man.
Hey, hold on, stop shooting. Smoke this fat blunt real quick.
Come on,
let's
brother.
talk this out.
Let's sit down and talk
War's
about
over.
it.
Right? Oh man.
Oh man.
It was funny, man. There was some moments where the Afghan army and police, they'd be like, "Hey, let's like pause this movement." And it's like midday, and they would walk in the middle of these fields, and then you'd start hearing them giggling like a bunch of little girls. You start smelling it more, and they're smoking up like on mission. And you're just like, dude, you can't wait like a few hours. Like, there's people that want to fucking shoot us here, man.
Yeah,
stay sharp, please.
Not a good move.
Yeah, and but that was funny.
So lots of drugs as you're.
Oh yeah, lots of drugs in Panjwai, man. I'm kind of salty because we were gonna do like these burn operations.
Yeah.
And I was the Husky vehicle, so I would roll in the front. And I was like, man, if we fucking do these, I'm totally cracking my fucking, totally cracking the lid of this. Like,
Accidentally
like
hotbox the MRAP. Yeah.
It's like, you can't tell me to burn down a field of weed, a field of weed, and then like drug test me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you fucking sent me there.
You just stand next to it after a mortar goes off. That's good.
Yeah.
I
was just observing.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I feel real weird.
Checking for UXOs.
What's going on?
I've never done this before in my life.
Am I giggly?
So you're in convoy. I mean, you're seeing a lot of crazy stuff. Panjwai is nuts at the time. There's IEDs everywhere. There's ambushes around every corner. How does that kind of lead up to your moment?
Oh man, so at that time, I think my unit alone used like the majority of the APOBs at that time. And what we were doing is essentially, instead of like just driving and getting blasted, we were launching them on the roads in the pass that we were going down. And we still missed some stuff. And but that was like interesting to be the guy up front, like, and all that shit's blowing up right there. And like everyone's like running away. You're just like sitting there like, oh, I really hope there's not a big one right here.
Oh yeah.
Because that's essentially what the APOBs is. If you don't know, it's like a miniature Miklik. And if you don't know what a Miklik is a trailer with this incredibly long rope with C4 or explosives every like 5 meters, I believe. And the APOBs is a double backpack system of that, so you can carry it on foot patrols. And it's essentially like a super long rope with grenades. I think every 5 meters or 5 yards. I forget the exact things. I'm sure like other people can chime in with this, but so we were using those and just launching them over and over and over. Mm-hmm. I mean, through neighborhoods, there are fucking houses like right here, and we're just launching them. And so that was going on, and like right after when we started doing that, that's when I got hit, and that was August 23rd, 2011. We were on one of those missions. We were pulling into Panjwai, and then we had gotten new orders to do a foot patrol. And I forget what the name of the cop was, but it was like a real small one. I want to say there was like a platoon of guys there. But we pull in there and do our little briefing, and I go to lead the convoy out in the Husky vehicle, and my steering breaks. So I'm like, hey, I'll stop, right? Like, I'll stop, and they're like, what's up? I'm like, my steering's broken. They're like, all right, just get in another vehicle. So I jumped into a first-generation Striker, and at that time, like, Panjway was fucking those generation of Strikers up. Like, they were getting ripped up really bad. And, like, our main thing was explosive, so, like, they basically shoot my ass to get the fuck out of there. I was like, dude, I'm an extra gun, man. Like, come on, let me be back here. I'm like, I'll take the risk, right? Like, and then they were like, no, get the fuck out of here. So I was like, all right. So I jumped in an RG-31, and, man, we rolled out, and I want to say like 20, 30 minutes later, I got hit. And at that time, we were investigating it. We didn't think it was an IED. So my gunner was facing the 3 o'clock of the vehicle. I was facing out the other. I was like a dismount in the back, just hanging out. So I was looking. I was watching his back. So if we took fire, I could tell him like, "Hey, they're in this part, right?" And then I just remember, like there was like this quick flash, and like it was dark. And then I remember like opening my eyes, and I saw my helmet on my feet, and it was like fucking dusty everywhere. I was like, "How the hell did my helmet get there? It was on my head." Like, I had no idea. Right? I couldn't hear. I had no idea. Like, I was so confused, and I didn't really know what happened. And then, like, as I start like regaining my composure, I start hearing like people like moaning, you know, like they're injured too. And I remember like just experiencing like, this intense like anger. Like, there's no fucking way these motherfuckers got me. Like, I was so pissed, dude. I was like punching the wall. I was like, man, I waited so fucking long to get here and do this, and like I got fucking blown up. Fuck, man, like, you know, and I didn't feel anything yet. And I remember looking at my gunner, Brandon Elliott. He like shattered both his legs. The hatch like slammed on him. The 50 cal was like in the engine. He was trapped. Basically, the hatch trapped him. And he was sitting on his legs, and he was kind of like panicking from that. So then I look back here, and my buddy's like femur's sticking out, right? And I'm like, oh fuck. And so that's when I tried to get up and give him first aid, and then it was like boom, the light switch turned on, and I felt pain through my whole body because like I fractured my C2, my L3, my L5, broke my left femur, shattered the lower left leg, my foot exploded on the bottom, like the inner ball part of your ankle blew off. I broke my right ankle, bit my tongue down the middle. It was like a snake for a minute. Like TBI, and then later PTSD, and then so like all that, I started feeling all that, and then I couldn't move my legs, so I would have had to like crawl to him. And so I told him like, dude, I can't move, bro. Like, my legs aren't working. I can't get to you. Like, I'm in so much fucking pain. And he goes, okay. And then luckily he had a handheld radio. Like, thank God, because our radios were destroyed. And so he like radios to our dudes, and he calls them up and are like, thank you guys for saving our asses, because you guys did an extraordinary job. And I mean that. They basically like, I want to say from the time they heard that to when we got the medevac, it was like 20 or 30 minutes of liftoff. It was like the amount of things that had to line up perfectly. Like, there was like a medevac flight, I think, coming back nearby, and they were empty.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And so like they heard it and came immediately to us, and like our guys are pretty squared away, so they got up to us. I remember putting a tourniquet on my own leg because I could feel it like expanding. I was like, oh fuck, like this is one of those injuries, like those real scary ones. You don't know, your leg breaks, and your bone basically becomes a fucking knife and starts cutting shit inside of you. So that's what I thought was happening. And so I was like, fuck. Like, I tried putting my fucking tourniquet on the long way like an idiot.
Put it through your legs.
No. And like, I'm like, oh my God, that's painful. So I was like,
that's actually
fuck that.
way more common than you think.
Yeah.
Like, people slip it on.
That's what I do now. I'm like, I make comments now, like on social media. I'm like, pull your fucking tourniquet out and just fold it up. So when you grab it, you're ready to go. You can immediately wrap it, dip it.
But also, like a half
Yeah.
fold. Like, you got to take it out of the second bracket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a big thing because you don't need second bracket for upper extremity injuries. And it's simple things like that can make all the difference in the world. I ended up putting a tourniquet on my leg too, but same system. I had to undo it. I'm fucking,
And you're like panicking because you know you're fucking dying too.
I was going to slip my non-foot, like get over my non-foot, and just scrape everything. I get it.
Just dragging it out there. Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. So you put your own tourniquet on.
So I put the tourniquet on, and then my buddy is like really panicking. And so I feel kind of bad. I kind of like yelled at him, but I did it in a way like I'm trying to distract him, right? Like I want you to focus on me yelling at you instead of you sitting on your shattered legs. Like, and so like when he heard that, he kind of like snapped to and he calmed down. And I'm like, I couldn't close my tourniquet. It was like kind of so high up and I couldn't move. And so I had to hold it there. I just kind of like pinched it down with my armor. And then just laid there, and I was like, man, hurry the fuck up. Please come get me.
Yeah.
And here I am thinking, like, Lord, like, if there was ever a time to save my ass, like, it's right now, please. Like, I was praying my ass off, man. Like, I'm not even joking. And so he calms down. Then I go try to calm down, and I'm, like, leaning against the bulletproof glass, and then I, like, pass out. And in that time I passed out, our radio's caught on fire. I didn't find this out till years later when I watched an interview of the guy who essentially saved my ass. So like my lower left leg catches on fire, and he uses his name is Stephen Jackal, Sergeant Stephen Jackal, and he's actually, that's the uniform top up front.
Yeah, I saw that up there.
In our Never Forget wall. So he was the guy sitting behind me to my left, and he uses his leg and like beats me with it until he pushes, like extinguishes the fire.
Wow.
And I didn't know this, right? Because when I came to, no one was there. I was the last guy to get out, right? And then Steven was like shimmying to the back emergency hatch, and he goes out the back emergency hatch. And so I didn't find that out till years later. And then, so after that happens, then like I know I'm really fucked up and my leg is like moving weird. And so I had to like kind of like partial self-recover with one of my buddies, Patrick Johnson. He's a awesome dude. Him and Seacrest. Those guys definitely pulled me out. So I remember like, shimmying onto the gunner stand and then pulling up, holding my leg because I know it was broken, and holding the tourniquet. And I remember like my leg bending as I like come out of the turret and like lean over, and they're like dragging me, and then like that came back to me in a nightmare. And I remember like seeing that and being like, that's what fucking happened. I remember that. And then I woke up and I was screaming, and I call those like night terrors. So that happens, and then they're like loading me off the truck, and I remember like threatening my dudes. I'm like, dude, if any of you motherfuckers touch my leg, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, because it was so much pain, man. I've never been in that much pain in my life. And it's just like one of those things you say when you're literally dying, like actually you're fucking dying. So it's like, okay, we'll let that shit slide. He was dying.
I'll kick your ass, dude.
There's room for
yeah. So they didn't give me any shit about that. Thanks, guys. And then
my platoon sergeant definitely did when I got back. Like I went back to serve, and he gave me shit for like something I said like out in the freaking, and he's like I'm not gonna even say it. It's just, I was like, you're
said
a
you were
dick.
gonna
I
kick
even
my
said
ass,
it to him.
man.
I was like, you're a dick, dude.
Bring that up now.
Yeah.
Well, at least he let you get through it, right?
Like wheeling.
Yeah, true.
Wheeling my wheelchair up to him. He's like,
yeah, still gotta kick my ass, huh?
yeah. So the excruciating pain, and yes, you're going through death in that moment right there. So they end up medevacing you.
Yeah. So I remember. I remember like getting laid down on the ground and just start praying, and I don't really remember anything after that. But my medic said that like he apologized to me, he was, I'm so sorry, and I'm like,
For what?
Bro, I'm sitting right next to you. What the fuck are you sorry about, man? Like, you fucking succeeded. You did your fucking job well. And he goes like, I forgot about you. Like, you were quiet. Like, you weren't making any noise. Everyone else was like freaking out. Like, you were just laying there. He's like, you did freak out when we had to change your tourniquet because you put it on wrong. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, dude, we had like 4 of us fighting you, like holding you down, putting this thing on because you were fucking fighting us. And I was like, I don't even remember any of that.
Yeah,
like,
just blacked out.
It was like, I don't remember anyone getting rescued. I don't remember that. I don't remember the flight there. I remember getting loaded. There's actually photos of this. This guy took photos of it and like released it before our families got notified. Oh, there's like some big fucking drama about that, right? Understood, but yeah, like seeing that, like seeing yourself on these images, and now like there's like a documentary on Amazon Prime, and I saw my photo there. I was like, shit. Oh, thanks for fucking asking me.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'm just some asshole off in the wind over here. Thanks, buddy. You know what I had to go through to fucking get there? Like a lot. So
frustrating.
It's frustrating, but it's also like, it's kind of cool because now we're the old timers, and now the world gets to see our stories, and now now this is our chance to like give those little bits and pieces of advice. Like, you go through your time in service and then you're done, and you wish you would have done things here and there differently. Mm-hmm. Now you get to like instill those lessons on the newer generation.
Oh yeah,
and we just get more lethal for that. I hope so. Like,
for sure.
I mean, we've been warfighters way too long, man.
Like this is a great platform for it too. We'll have. We're very lucky that these stories get to go out. We've had people approach us at airports and say, "Hey, listen, we joined the military for you from this show."
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
We had one that particularly rings out to both of us. Is military spouse was like, "Hey, you helped me understand my husband better."
Yeah. Oh wow. That's really good.
Talk people off the ledges and stuff. And it's just this platform. It's just sharing stories like this, which is hard to do. Like, it really is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like right now, I'm like,
we'll hug it out after.
Yeah, but the thing
I might need to work out after this.
We call it exposure therapy, right? Is the more that you talk about it, the less power you give it. Mm-hmm. It becomes easier, and then all of a sudden, it empowers yourself to like be a little bit more resilient and get to a next chapter in your healing journey as well, which I'm sure you've seen. Through the power of like being here at this training facility. Yeah. Right?
Man, so when I first came here, I had this reputation of being this asshole, but that's because I showed up and I was like here for fucking business, right? Like I had this mentality of like, all right, I'm going in the military, I don't know shit, and I'm going to learn from the best, and then I'm going to become the best, right?
Yeah.
So when I came here, I was like, even though I've been an athlete and I know how to program my own shit, like, I don't know anything. And you're going to teach me everything. I'm going to follow everything you show me, man. I lost like 33 pounds in the 9 weeks. So yeah, it was amazing.
But so you said you went through, obviously everybody does, especially going through such a traumatic injury, several years of, hardship, battling PTS, TBI, all that stuff, obviously a recovery, and finding this place. Do you think that kind of like set you up for success more? Or what was 100%. The moment that kind of brought you back?
100%. So when I found out about this place, the Adaptive Training Foundation, I was on a vacation with my ex, and we were, it was like one of those cruises. You stop in different countries and stuff.
Sure.
So we stopped in the Cayman Islands, and I met David Vabora's former teammate, former Rams teammate, David Roach. And he talked to me about this place, and he connected me with David, and it was like super fast after that vacation. Nice. I was here.
What year was that?
2017.
17. Okay.
Yeah, late 2000. It was like November.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went through the program, did amazing, and then David, like a few weeks before graduation, he was like, "Hey, I want you to come back to the next class. You're doing like a phenomenal job. Your foundation is set. Now I want you to build on that. Mm-hmm. So come back." And I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
So what does the program look like? You said it's 9 weeks, right?
So yeah, okay. This is not a program where you come in and you stand up out of your wheelchair and we're like, "Oh yeah, great fucking job." Yeah. Like you come here and you earn that respect.
Nice.
Like, this is no bullshit. So we're training people essentially for everyday life to be independent, strong enough for that. And we train people who are badass enough to go to the Paralympics. And so we have a couple Paralympians here, a couple, there's a really awesome guy named Trevor Kennison. He's trained here. He's like the first sit skier to do a double backflip.
Oh, shit.
Also to do a backflip onto like a rail.
Skier.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
This guy's like pushing humanity. Like, it's fucking crazy what this dude does. It's
wild.
really amazing. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, Trevor. Love you, dude. But we have like people of that caliber, and then we just have like the everyday person that just wants to be, independent, strong for their family. They can still run their household and shit like that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the mission of Adaptive Training Foundation? So it's a nonprofit gym that you have to earn your membership essentially, and it's not open to the public, correct?
Yeah. So, okay. I wish we could just take everyone, but we don't. We're very limited. We're still growing. We plan on growing. But we do, like when I was going through, I went through class 10. Now we're like 30 plus classes now.
Nice.
So like when I was going through, we didn't have enough people to go through. So like a couple of people were allowed to come back. Now we have so many applicants per class, and the staff does kind of like a draft. They interview every single applicant, and then they write down the pros and cons, and then they go over and they're like, who's actually ready to do this? Because everyone says, oh, I'm good, right? Like, I'm good, I'm ready to change. And then you like put them through 1 week of workouts, and then they're ready to quit. They're ready to go home.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's not a joke, right? Like, we train you like a professional athlete, and we expect you to perform like one.
Yeah.
Like, wherever you're at currently, we expect you to like put forth your greatest effort, right? Your most focused effort.
I imagine it's a little bit militaristic, with very structured, I imagine.
Structure-wise, like, we cover all our bases, but it's definitely not like the military.
Okay.
Thank God.
I was thinking early mornings and lined up.
No.
Okay.
So
Cool.
basically, you train 3 times a week. You can train more if you want to, if you have the energy. So we train Monday, Wednesday, Friday from like 10:30 to 12:30. 30
2.5 hours.
Yeah, or 2 hours. But like half an hour of that is sometimes longer. Half an hour is like 15 to 20 minutes in the beginning. We focus on like mindfulness.
Okay.
We focus on breath work. If anyone has like an issue, like they really need addressed right then and there, we talk about it. It's like basically there's breath work to prime your body for a workout, and there's breath work to bring you down from the workout.
Gotcha.
And so the first one is you're priming, then you do the workout, and then you start coming down from the workout. And then each week of the 9 weeks is like a different theme. And so you're essentially working on that theme while you work out. And we do a really good job of everyone that comes here like has gone through some shit, right? Like, and so a lot of times that comes out when we're really pushing you. Like, there's some weeks like we purposely push you past your breaking point, just so you can break down, and then you can learn how to properly like manage that in a healthy way. And like, we'll stop the workout and we'll talk to you right then and there. We'll go to like a different room if you don't want to be in the public, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll tell you how to like redirect all that energy into healthy and apply it into your movements. And so that way, instead of, oh, you get triggered, oh, now you're down for 2 or 3 months isolating at home, like, oh, you get triggered, now you're down for like a few minutes while you do some breath work, you let your body calm down, and then you fucking get back to it.
Nice.
Right? So like, I kind of like don't follow, I don't 100% follow what we're supposed to do here, because like I'm one of those guys that isolated for so long. From the time I got retired in 14 to like the time I found David Roach, like I was isolating at home.
Yeah.
Like,
3 years.
yeah, I was just like chilling out. I would seek healing through like other nonprofits, trying to figure out what I like and just figure out new tools, new communities. Because you always learn from somebody. You know, you learn something from everyone. And I had like no faith in the VA anymore, because I never like avoided my healing. I was like, what do I need to do? Let's do it right now so I can get back to the battlefield. And so I was like gunning for healing. And then I get retired, and like the VA keeps switching my counselor over and over and over. And
new medications.
Like here you are, and this is them typing into their screen.
Yep.
And you're back there. There's no eye contact. You're explaining the same story.
Anything else? They're just trying to prescribe.
Yeah, they're just. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm out. And then that's when I really like fell off and isolated home. And it was kind of like a really toxic portion of my life. I'm gonna throw a major curveball. That's when I transitioned from the army into the civilian world. I became like a EDM DJ. So I was playing raves, like nightclubs, warehouses, festivals.
To that kind of,
yeah, that was like fucking amazing. It was like mind blowing every time. It was a good experience, humbling experience, but I was toxic, man. So I only lasted maybe about 2.5, 3 years DJing, and I removed myself and
partying too much type of thing. Or,
yeah, it was like partying,
late nights.
You know, you're getting paid with exposure dollars. Like fuck your exposure dollars, motherfucker. I like sacrificed so much to be here, and I'm here. Fucking pay me. Like I'm not asking you to pay me $10,000 because I'm just some local dude, but like if this is what I do and this is what you do, like you need to pay people livable wages. You know?
Yeah, well, the music industry is just, that's a whole nother podcast. But
I'm not going to dive into that. But so that happened, and I loved it. I met a lot of amazing people. Some of my favorite times were after party conversations when I'm in the garage with some random fan, you know, or something, and just talking about life with them, and they'd talk about me, and I'd talk about them. Like I really like those moments. Those are really special. And then all the events with like the laser shows. Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. You're just like dropping some fucking heat, man. And, like just lasers going everywhere. And you're like, it's fucking awesome.
That's rad.
Yeah, so that happened. Become super toxic, isolation mode, and then ATF. And then I went through my classes. I went through class 10, 11, and 15. That happens. And then I kind of pull back to like square myself away. At that time, I met my wife. She's one of like the initial athletes here. That she was basically like an athlete here before this was even an actual legitimate program. Okay. And so met her here.
She's an amputee as well, right?
No. Okay. She's disabled or handicapable as well. Okay. And she got in a really bad car wreck at 15 years old. Okay. And the top portion of her seatbelt failed. She folded in half, ruptured a bunch of her organs, broke her spine. Jeez. Died twice.
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah, she got roughed up real bad early on.
Wow.
Like she's such a badass, man. She's one of like the pioneering female wheelchair adaptive CrossFit athletes. Awesome. So before that got into the CrossFit games, she was medaling in all those events. No shit. She medaled at Wadapalooza like 4 years in a row.
Oh shit.
So like when I first knew about her, I was like, man, this girl is badass. Yeah. Like, she's that person you see on social media kicking ass, taking names, and like awesome. You know, she had a full-time career, master's degree, kid, like a wonderful life, like doing amazing. So I was like, wow, this person is a great example to follow. Yeah. And when I found out she was into me, I was like, fuck yeah.
Winner. That's awesome.
A good human being? Yes.
So Adaptive Training Foundation, or I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
ATF. I was like, that's not the right ATF in my head. But,
man,
Adaptive Training Foundation has really kind of set you up for success here and helped you with your recovery, which is awesome to see. It's kind of that reestablished purpose, if you will. So amazing to hear, and really appreciate you sharing, coming on today and talking through it. Is there anything that you would like say to someone who's like maybe going through a difficult time or facing something that, or maybe even scared to come to a facility like this?
Oh man, the first thing I would say is stop being scared. Stop being scared, and even if you are, like, show up anyways, because showing up literally is like the majority of the battle. Yeah, right. It's the biggest part of the fight is just convincing yourself to show up to somewhere healthy. Because when you get there, then you're like, oh, well, shit, I'm here already. Like, might as well get after it, you know? So, or at least you start surrounding yourself with healthier people that will educate you. They'll be there to pick you up when you fall down, and they'll give you honest and tough love, because we all need that. Like, if you're not getting tough love and you're around yes people, like, you're being failed.
Yeah.
They're letting you down, and they're deceiving you, like, hardcore. You need people that challenge you, that like really get after you, and then give you opportunities to succeed. You know,
I love that. Show
really
up.
do. Yeah, show up. And something I tell every class. There's two things I tell. I need you to give 100% effort every set, every rep, every day. And the second one is, it's a really good question that David asked me once. I was walking to the restroom, and he was walking out of the office, and he just stopped me. He's like, "Hey, I got a question for you, bro." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, Are you ready to allow yourself to become the person you've been training so hard to become?" And then I thought about that. My fucking mind blew. Like, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're training so hard, bro." But he's like, "You're not letting yourself be healed. You're not letting yourself do these healthy new routines. It's like you're afraid to let yourself be great. You know, like, stop holding yourself back." And you'd hold yourself back when you're like, "Oh, I'd rather isolate and rip this bong," or, "Oh, I'd rather stay home and avoid people," or, "Oh, it's not perfect. You know, that's not like everything I want it to be. Yeah, fuck it." Like, you're screwing yourself out of incredible opportunity and growth. And, like, I hate to say this, but, like, if you're thrust in a situation like me where you get blown up, you're serving your country, like, that story is extremely helpful to the people that didn't show up. And let me tell you, like, 99% of the nation didn't show up to the global war on terror. So, like, you need to be strong. Like, you're still a warrior, and so you need to conduct yourself as that, and you need to, like, handle your shit. So whether that looks like you're knocking out 10 medical appointments every day for fucking 5 years straight until you fix this shit, or you're knocking them, like, one medical appointment every few weeks or every month, like, keep going. Like, no matter how slow or fast you're going, like, learn your body, listen to your body, because your body's going to tell you this is too much or this is not enough. And so pay attention to that, and really, like, just start addressing it. Because before you know it, if you start addressing it now and you have 10 problems, if you do one problem a year, that's 10 years, right, of suffering. But if you do, 10 problems in a week, like, your suffering's now minimized. You're not fucking unleashing.
Might be harder up front, but
secondary PTSD is a real thing, right? Like, my ex was affected, my wife's affected, my stepkid's affected, and, like, in some ways, like, I became the monster that I fucking hated and wanted to destroy in the first place. And it happened without me realizing. It just happened because I had to become a new person to defeat those people and just survive mentally. Like, how do I throw myself into war where I know people is going to, like, chop my head off or fucking stab me or shoot me? Like, I need to become hardcore now. I need to get desensitized and, man, just show up and start doing the work.
I love that.
One day at a time, man.
Yeah, you show up and give 100% effort. I like that.
Yeah.
And two, like, you are a warrior still, but you have the wisdom now too as well. So, like, it's not who we were, and we have to get back to that. We have tools that are applicable now, but we're learning other things that make us better leaders and being able to bolster up the next generation, as you mentioned. Where can we find you?
Oh, man, I'm just on...
Besides ATF.
Besides here? Okay, so, man,
You got an Instagram or...
Right now, how I'm living, I'm just, like, serving the world, man, serving the people. And so I'm not like a brand or...
So we'll look you up. We want to point them out to Adaptive Training Foundation. We can come find you.
So you can find me on Instagram, though.
Okay.
I'm at sapper_rage.
Oh, perfect. Perfect
Rage.
explanation for you.
Oh, it
Sapper
is. Sapper
Rage.
yeah.
I love it.
The
Well, thanks
rage,
for coming on today. We really appreciate you sharing your
guys.
story and
Appreciate it.
also coming out of the darkness and helping other people in the community be successful and badasses as well in the field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for your time,
Train
Derrick.
hard, guys. Seriously, take it serious.
Show up.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you. As Derrick said, you did it once before, you can do it again. Plain and simple. Thanks for watching the Medevac Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week.